Dear colleagues, I would like to thank you for the opportunity first to present our results, but also I would like to thank the World Bank colleagues for the attention to our studies. I understand that the connection is sound and everything is fine. Is that correct? Just okay. Thank you. First, I would like to present you with the background. In 2015, FAO project was launched to support the Ministry of Agriculture in Moldova, together with the producer groups in the discussion on how to improve export diversification and to improve institutional support in promotion policy for the internal and external market. The working group supported by the ministry asked us to present the experience of Serbia, Estonia, Poland, Austria, Chile, and Brazil. And as a result, we developed studies which were presented in 2016 at the regional policy workshop about the institutional practices in food promotion. Experience in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia, which was hosted with YAMO, Leibniz Institute for Agricultural Development and Transition Economies. I would like to mention that our contributors had a diverse background. We had Piotr Kondrachuk, the head of the Agricultural Marketing Agency, preparing the study for Poland, Tina Saron, the head of the Estonian Dairy Association, preparing the Estonian study, Goran Živkov, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture of Serbia, preparing the Serbian study, Guillermo Donoso from the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile, preparing the study on Chile, and Rafael Guimarães Requião from the Ministry of Agriculture of Brazil, preparing the Brazilian study, as well as Rainer Haas and Oliver Meixner from the Institute of Marketing and Innovation from University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences of Vienna, Austria, developing the Austrian study. The synthesis report is available on our webpage, and there is a link in my reports on that. With the next two slides, I would like just to mention the key recommendations from our experts roundtable. That was the roundtable of the experts and the policymakers. And the key recommendations are related to the institutional setting up of the promotional policy as well as the quality assurance. What is important? That it should be important to have the designated national body for export or marketing promotion, but also with a clear mandate and responsibilities as well as the budget. The experts pointed on the importance of intergovernmental coordination, and I will discuss about it later because the positioning of the agency is important in order to avoid the conflicts in the communication with other ministries. It's important to engage the private sector and to support active initiative groups, including the chambers of commerce. The producer groups need to be involved in the developing of the trade promotional activities, and I will describe a little bit better what would be the modality of engaging the producer groups in those modalities. And the experts confirmed the general approach that trade facilitation, simplification of import and export procedures, improving SPS measures, and implementing international standards is generally essential for improving the access to the markets. Also, investments in trade and infrastructure is important. The bricks of a good policy in promotion and setting up the quality assurance was synthesized in these elements, that it's important to have a systematic approach with prioritization of products and the markets, together with the strategy focused on value addition, but also having a clearly defined prioritization for the subsectors, or perhaps the niche markets. Irina was mentioning the diversity of the products in Romania, and specifically mentioning geographical indications. Perhaps the focus on the quality products, such as the organic, mountain products, other traditional products, and GI products, could also be the focus of the prioritization of the support. It's important to develop the quality policy together with the systems that encourage the competition based on the quality. And also the support to the promotional activities, especially the participation in the fairs, as well as the trade missions. The experts pointed on the positive experience of agri-food trade attaché representatives helping to promote the policy and to make sure that there is a mechanism of the outreach. The experts mentioned that it's important to analyze the experience with the creation of export promotion funds. And here I would like to point to the experience of Poland and Austria, where these promotional funds are established based on the percentage of the price collected by the retailers. And then those funds are accumulated and distributed and managed by the producer groups. And the colleagues from Austria and Poland today will deliver the case studies on that. It's important to dedicate more financial resources to agricultural and marketing research to develop more or less the technological base with the strategic vision for the sector development, including the export orientation. The support in the analysis of foreign markets and the provision of the market information system is found critical, and you may want to consider that in the functions and the responsibilities. The last point is the transparency in government spending and evaluation of effectiveness of the export promotion programs. It is ideal to incorporate in the legal framework some sort of the monitoring and evaluation function where there is a possibility to monitor the implementation of the program. I would not specifically focus on the experience of Poland and Austria because these cases will be provided later, but I will just point that our studies are available and the synthesis report is also available on the web page. I will just only mention that the institutional mechanisms that we showed are very different. For instance, in Poland, based on the special funds established, there is a very important role of the producer groups. In Estonia, the approach was different because of the dairy sector chosen as a priority subsector, and the promotional programs more or less streamlined with the dairy sector leadership. In Chile and Brazil, there is experience of the strong institutional engagement, and the agencies like ProChile or Brazilian Apex Brazil. At the same time, they work both under the different institutional modalities. For instance, the Trade and Investment Promotion Agency in Brazil works under the Ministry of Development. At the same time, the ProChile as agency works under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and there are pros and cons on that institutional setup. In Austria, there is a very interesting experience that Rainer will be presenting today about the consumer market-driven research and the connection of the promotional funds with the farmers. I will not discuss the specifics of the case study of Poland or Austria, but in this slide, I will only mention the general distribution of the functional responsibilities to manage the promotion policy as well as the quality assurance policy. In this particular case of Austria, you will see that the Ministry of Agriculture is responsible in general of setting up of the agricultural policy and EU coordination. There is a specific and very interesting role of the Chamber of Agriculture with its 9 chambers in 9 provinces in Austria. And at the same time, there is a paying agency, Agrarmarkt Austria, which is responsible for the reporting about markets, but also administration of agricultural subsidy. The paying agency itself owns the completely private limited liability company AMA Marketing, which actually performs 2 functions. One, the quality assurance and agricultural marketing function. The Polish experience is a little bit different, but you will hear it from our colleague Darek. For our discussion and just to also help the colleagues from Romania to think through, I would like to briefly go through the points that we would like to raise in developing the policy for quality assurance as well as for the promotion. That it was very important to have a clear vision and the strategy with the clearly defined responsibilities. Both laws in Poland and Austria are very clear with the functions that they delegate to the agencies, and that is the quality assurance and management, as well as the agricultural marketing function. And it is also important to position well the agency itself, so it effectively operates and does not more or less has any conflict with the ministries or other agencies. The experience of the Polish or Austrian experience are saying that these quality assurance and promotion policies are managed by paying agencies. At the same time, the Chilean or Brazilian experience are saying that those agencies have non-profit or government-owned mechanisms, but managed by also different ministries. In Brazil, this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I mean, in pro-Chile, this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and in Brazil, this is the Ministry of Development and Trade. At the same time, the laws are built on domestic culture, and they include the civil public dialogue. And there is always a very specific historical context with respect to the development of the associations. I would like to also to mention that there is a marketing fee, and that fee usually helps the producer groups to get together and to decide on the distribution of the funds, but also the specific promotional programs. That also supports the civil public dialogue in this case. There is a clearly defined value added in these policies for the farmers as well as for the consumer. In this case, the laws clearly allow, with the functional performance, understand for the farmers that there is a coordinated food promotion and marketing services available to them, but they also see the quality seals together with the guidelines, and they participate in the food promotion and quality assurance programs. With respect to the consumer understands that there is a certification by government-approved bodies, and there is a well-defined quality characteristic which is communicated to the consumer. Two more points to mention, that the examples of the institutional setup in framing those policies is different. And there is an example of the government-managed private business culture with consumer market research for agri-food marketing and quality assurance. And this is the example of Austria. Or there is an example of government-coordinated food marketing and the association-driven culture of standard setting as an example of Poland, and Darek will describe a little bit better. What is important to keep in mind is that the quality improvement support is provided through the toolbox, which is built on the institutional and public dialogue mechanisms. There are quality assurance programs with the seals, and then there is a government seal or government certification of the technical approval of specifications. And this is important because it pushes the producer groups to stretch. Here, I would just to back up my point, I would like to mention the new study that came out from UK on adding qualities to the product. The researchers are mentioning that it is very difficult for the producer groups to add qualities to the product, including nutritional qualities. They cannot do it voluntarily usually. And the experts are recommending applying a very different modalities, including taxation mechanisms, in order to create additional incentives for the producer groups to add new qualities to the product, or perhaps to add nutritional qualities to the product. But also the experience of Poland and Austria will show you that the government certification mechanism of the approval of the specifications for the seals plays a very important role to push the producer groups to stretch a little bit. And this might be one of the advantages. Thank you. In this case, I hope that I met your timely requirements. Thank you for this.